Hello everyone, welcome to VMS class. In this lesson, we are going to discuss about another data type called float data type. In the last lesson, we have seen int data type, but not every number is a whole number. In many real world examples, the real world values contain decimal points. If you take the price, the product price can be 1499.99. You can see here there is a decimal point. If we take the petrol price it is of 104.75. Again we have a decimal number. Let's take the temperature. The temperature is something like this, 34.56. You can see all these examples. These values cannot be stored using the int data type. So Python provides the float data type to store numbers with the decimal values. Okay, to store this kind of decimal values, Python is providing a special data type float. Okay, float data type. Here, what is float? What is float here? A float is a numeric data type, which is a number, right? Which is a numeric data type used to store numbers that contain a decimal point. That contain a decimal point. We have seen few examples here. If we take 10.5, it is a floating point number. 99.99, it is a floating point number. 0.25, which is a floating point number. Even you can take a negative number with the decimal point minus 45.75. This is also can be considered as a float. Okay. Now let us create some variables with the float type. Go to the ideally here. I am creating a variable price equal to 1499.99. Let's print the price and you can see the type of this price, which is float. Okay. You can take the temperature equal to 34.67. You can print the temperature 34.67. You can see the type of this temperature is float. Okay. Even you can take the salary of any employee 45,000 point. Okay, 67. You can print the salary again. See the type of salary here. It is again float. So like that you can create variables with float. You can take any other example. Again, the value here, value equal to minus 45.67. Print the value here. And what is the type of this value, which is again float. Okay, a float can be a negative value also. If you want to check the what type of data it is, you can simply use the type function so that you can see what type of data it is. So like this, you can create variables using the floating point values and you can apply all the arithmetic operations on these float types. Let us take few examples here. I am going to calculate the total bill. Price equal to some price I am taking 799.50 and this item is having the GST. Let me take 143 point some number 91. You can take the total equal to price plus GST. Now print the total bill equal to comma total. So here I have created two variables of float type and I am performing the arithmetic addition. So float plus float will give you the result as float value. When you execute this, you can see the output is 943.41. Many billing softwares works with the decimal values because product prices often include the pies or cent, etc. Right. Even you can take another example for calculating the petrol bill. Let me take a variable price per liter equal to some number you can take 104.75. Then number of liters you can take 8.5 for example. The total bill equal to price per liter multiplied by the number of liters. Print the total bill equal to comma bill. Save this and you can execute this. You can get the total bill here 890.375. In this example, I am performing this multiplication operation between two floating point values. Again, the result is a float. Like this, you can perform multiple arithmetic operations on the float also. Okay. So this is the way how we can create a float variable and to store the data inside that variable. And we need to learn few points about the float. The very first point, the integers can become floats. Okay, integers can become float. What is the meaning of that? If you take numbers a equal to 25, b equal to 25.0. So you see that both numbers represent the same value. Now I am going to print what is a and print what is the type of a here. Then print b and print what is the type of b here. Now let us save and execute this program. Now you can see the first number 25 which is of integer type because there is no decimal value. But the second number is also same number but which contains the decimal value. But now it is considered as a float. Okay. Python stores them as different data types. Okay. This is a integer data type and this is a float data type. Okay. The second thing, Python is also supporting this scientific notation. Scientific notation. You can store a floating point value in the form of a scientific or e to the power of notation. Let me take one example here. I have distance equal to 3.5 E3. Now I am using this exponential notation and then print distance. Now when you save and execute this, you can see the value of distance is 3500.0. So what is my value here? 3.5 E3. So how it is working? It is something like 3.5 multiplied by 10 to the power of 3. Okay. So this value is equal to this value. So even though if you provide a scientific notation, Python is going to store the value in the form of floating point notation. Okay. And another important point, it is about the floating point precision. Floating point precision. As you know that this concept will surprise many developers also. If I print 0.1 plus 0.2, so what will be the output of this? So can you guess it? So many people will feel that 0.1 plus 0.2, that will be 0.3, but the actual output will be slightly different. Okay, you may expect a 0.3, but why this answer is coming? Because the computers store the floating point numbers in the binary format, and some decimal values cannot be represented exactly. So that's why we are going to get this kind of value. So this is basically called floating point precision. Okay, so this is basically called floating point precision. So many times in examinations, you will get this kind of question. Now, the correct answer is 0.3 after we have multiple zeros and 4. So, what is the reason? You can tell that floating point numbers are stored in binary format and some decimal values cannot be represented exactly. So, that's why we are getting this kind of precision value. Okay. Now, if you want, you can also round off these floating point numbers. Converting, or we can rounding, okay, rounding floating point values. Okay, so here you can use the round function to round up to how many digits after a decimal point. If I take price equal to 123.45678 like this, then print. You can use the round function, round off the variable name up to how many digits you want after the decimal point. Price, comma 2. Now, when you execute this, you can see you are getting 123.46. So here the round function rounds the value to the specified number of decimal places. So if I take price, comma 3, in that case, it will round up to 3 digits after the decimal point. Okay. So even you can typecast this integer numbers to float. Okay. Convert integer to float. For this, we have a float function. So we have int typecasting function. In the last lesson, we have seen I have age equal to 25. Then print. You can use the typecasting float of age. If you do typecasting float of age, so that will print you the floating point value 25.0. Here, the float function is going to convert the integer value into a floating point number. Okay, so very important point. So you need to understand the round function and typecasting function. But the float can convert only to a meaningful numbers, okay, which is a valid numbers. If I say ABC here, now if I ask Python to convert it, then immediately it will raise the error. You cannot convert a string to the float, so which is going to provide error. The ABC cannot be converted to a float. Okay, so that's a very important here. And now, one more point I want to tell you here. When you are using this floating point numbers, the formatting is very important. Okay. Sometimes we don't want to display all the decimal digits. Instead, we want to display only a fixed number of decimal places, like we have seen the round function. So you can use a round function, and also you can use the formatting concept, so which is format function. Okay, or you can use the format string method also. I will tell you two examples for that. You can understand better. Let me take price equal to 1234.56789. This is my price. Okay. I am going to use a print of, okay, here I am using the format function. So this format function here will take two arguments. One is the actual variable price, okay, comma. Here it is going to specify a string inside that up to two floating point numbers, point 2f, okay, point 2f. So when you execute this, it will do exactly like the round after, okay, that you are going to provide 2, right? So here, what is the meaning of a 0.25? Here, format function. So in this case, what is point 2f here? So point is nothing but the decimal point. Okay, there is a decimal point here. 2 denotes that display two digits. Okay, after the decimal. Okay, 2 means after decimal you display two digits, and f represents that floating point format. Floating point format. Okay, point 2f. Okay, you can notice that what is the exact output here. When I execute this, you will get 1234 after the decimal point, after point, two digits. It's a floating point number. Okay, so let me take one example. I am taking pi equal to 3.14159, okay, 26535, any number you can take. Now print, you can use the format function. The variable is here pi, comma. Inside this string, you have to provide what is the digits you want after this, point 3f. Okay, so now if I do like this, now after this point, you will get a three digits. Okay, so 3.142. Basically, it is going to round off, right? So here, after this, it is 5, right? So it is going to print 3.142. The value is automatically rounded to three decimal places. Okay. For example, I have another number, temperature, equal to 36.8, like this. Now I will ask to print, the format can be the temperature, comma, up to, okay, four decimal points I want, point 4f, okay, point 4f. Now in this case, we don't have this four decimal digits after this point, right? Now when I execute this, it is going to add extra zeros. Okay, it is going to produce a 36.8000. After the point, how many digits you want? 4. How many already there? Only one digit is there. So what about the remaining? It will add zeros. Okay. So even though the original value has only one decimal digit, Python adds the trailing zeros to match the requested precision here. Okay, most of the times you need up to two digits. Okay, commonly in all the applications, when you are going to use in real time, it is going to take maximum, okay, point 2f. When you execute this, it is the common way. So we are going to print whether it is a salary, whether it is a temperature, okay, all kind of things you can use point 2f precision. Okay, so even you can display along with a string also. Let me take this example. Okay, a price equal to 799.5. Now print the price equal to, comma. Here you can use, okay, here format of price, comma. Then here you can use a point 2f. 0.2f. Okay. Now let's execute this. Here you can see along with string the price equal to 799.50. In the previous example, I have directly used this format of price comma 0.2f. You can print along with the string. Okay, clear. Now, in addition to this, even you can also use f strings. So this is also similar to the format function. This is the one way format function. Another way you can also use the f strings. The modern Python is going to use this f string concept. Okay, format string. Instead of using format, the professional Python developers often use this f strings. So let me take one example. You can understand this. How can you use this? So I have price equal to 1234.56789. So I have this price. Print. Here you need to use the formatted string. So try to understand. Already I have given a brief idea, but let me understand here. Format string. So inside that you can type price, okay, colon 0.2f. Okay, everything will be written inside this curly braces. Okay, price colon 0.2f. So when you execute this, you can see you are going to get the price value. After the decimal point, we are getting two digits. Okay. Even you can also print the string as well. Okay. So here I am going to type format string. Okay. The product price equal to, okay, the product price equal to like this. Now let me execute this. Now you can see the product price equal to 1234.57. Instead of just printing this floating point number, I am printing the string also. Okay, so let me take salary equal to 45675.5. Now print, you can use the format string. Salary is colon. Now here you need to use the curly brace to print the salary format. Here the variable is salary colon. After the decimal point, two digits I want. Then double quotation is closed. So everything should be inside this formatted string. Now if you want to print the variable value, you can use this curly braces. The remaining string will come as it is. So when you execute this, now you can notice the difference. 45675.0. Okay, so notice the difference between this format and f string. Format string, here it is going to take format of price comma double quotation 0.2f like this. If you take f string, it is going to take formatted string. Inside that, okay, you can use this price colon 0.2f. So like this you can format this floating point digits when you are going to display the value. Okay. Now let us see some of the questions on this float data type. What is a float in Python? Float is a numeric data type used to store numbers that contain decimal point. It can represent both positive numbers and negative decimal values also. For example, price equal to 1499.99, temperature equal to 36.8, floating point values. What is the difference between 25 and 25.0? 25 is an integer, whereas 25.0 is floating point number. If you print the type of 25 and type of 25.0, you will get int and float. What is the output of 10 divided by 2? the output will be 5.0. It is not 5 because Python division operator always returns a float. Even when the result is a whole number, it is going to give a floating point number as an output. You can type 10 divided by 2 in ideal shell and see the result. And why does this zero point 0.1 and zero point 0.2 return 0.3 multiple zeros for? Floating point numbers are stored in binary format and some decimal values cannot be represented exactly in binary. So this causes a small precision error. That's why it is going to print this output. So this is a normal behavior in Python and even in other programming languages also. How can you display a float value with only two decimal places? One way using format function, another way is using f string. You can print format of price comma point to f as a string. You can use format string f double quotations price colon point to f. How can you convert an integer into a float in Python? You can use float typecasting function. The float of age will give you a float value 25.0. The float function converts an integer value into a floating point number. Okay, thank you. I will see you in the next lesson.